I'm Sachi from Sawmill Studio, and today we are going to put together this kit, which we call the silverware box. Now, you don't have to put silverware in it. You can put in art supplies or anything else that will fit in these little bins, okay? I'm going to set this aside for now. Now, this kit has a lot of pieces. So, first you have your little hardware bag, and we'll have the sandpaper and a couple of screws and a bunch of nails. And before we get started going through all the wood, I want to point out that if you're a kid putting this together, you really need adult supervision for this project because there's a lot of pieces and you're going to need that extra pair of hands, and it's just always good to have adult supervision when you're a kid putting our projects together. So now, let's look at this kit. We have the handle, which consists of 3 parts, and I'll show you in more detail in a minute. But we're going to be putting that handle together as one unit. I'm going to put that aside. And now, here's for the confusing part. We have 2 short end pieces, 2 of the middle pieces that go in the compartment. We have the bottom, and we have the 2 long sides. Now the 2 long sides are bigger than the bottom, so if you're confused, there you go. 2 sides and a bottom. We are going to take these 2 short pieces that are the dividers in the middle, and we are going to set those aside so we don't get confused with the 2 end pieces. Okay. Now let's have a quick safety talk before we get going too far. You need to have your safety glasses to protect those eyeballs. You need that adult to help you out if you're a kid. You need a nice workbench to work on, and if you don't have a workbench, just any hard floor works great. Just put down some plywood or some cardboard to help protect that surface, but something nice and hard is good for all that nailing you're going to do. You are going to need a hammer for this project, and a Phillips screwdriver, and a pencil. Okay? Now let's get started. We are going to take that bottom piece and we are going to put the 2 end pieces on first, and then we'll put those long pieces next. Now this is where it's going to be handy to have that adult around to hold things for you. And whoever's helping you, make sure that you let the kids do as much work as possible because that's what makes this fun, okay? I'm going to start these nails on these small pieces right on the bench. It's a little bit hard for me to hold everything and nail it at the same time. So I got 2 nails here. And just a little bit. You don't want to nail this into the tabletop. It gets really hard to pull it out, and you'd hurt your tabletop. Keep those nails in just a little bit from the edges so that you don't split your wood. Now you're going to line this up and hammer those nails in. All right, one side. Now we're going to flip to the other side. And this is a great opportunity for that adult to hold this for you. My piece is moving, so I'm going to adjust it before I get it all the way in. There we go. Alright, so we have part of our box done. We are going to put these sides on next. This should be a little easier. We just flip this over. You're going to make sure that it stays lined up with the sides and the bottom. And we're going to put 2 nails on the side here after I line it up. There we go. And I just readjusted it so it's not going to be off kilter. There we go. And 2 more. And I don't see too many knots, just one here, but we're not putting any nails there, so that's okay. But we usually avoid knots because they're really hard and they bend our nails. And we're going to put one down here in the middle. All right, and we're going to do that all over again with the other side. 2 nails on the ends. Try not to hammer your thumb. Here we go. For those who like to nail, this has a lot of nails. It's a fun project. 1 on the bottom. And ta-da, we have most of the box built. Okay, so now take those 2 little dividers that you set aside, and you get to decide where you want them to be. In our model, we tend to have pretty equal spacing, and if it's a little stiff getting in, just take that handy hammer, gently tap it in. Okay? Now you can decide if you want them to be a little not quite lined up, you know, a little bit smaller here. Just remember, you want to be able to stick your hand in. If you drop a marble or something down there, you want to be able to get your hand in to pull it out. So don't make it too skinny. I'm just going to keep it rather equally spaced for now. And this is where that pencil comes in handy, because it's a little tricky, but the next step is to put some nails in through the side to grab onto these pieces. So I like to tip it over, and I look at where my piece is, and I use my pencil to figure out where that nail is going to go. I'm going to try to show you that. You're going to take a look at this, and you're going to decide, okay, I need that nail to go right in the middle, so I want it to be about there. Okay? Now this is also a great time for that grown-up to maybe hold on to that piece if it's a little wiggly, so that it doesn't move while you're putting the nail in. Here we go. One there, and now I gotta eyeball this one. Ooh, and this one's a little wiggly, so I'm gonna have to hang on to it and hammer. This should be fun. So I'm gonna start that nail. Make sure my piece is still where I want it. There we go. Okay. Now I have to do the same on the other side, so I take my pencil and I'm gonna kind of see, make sure my nail's gonna go in the middle. Same here. And if that's a little confusing, get that grown up to help you out. They can help you eyeball it. 2 more nails, here we go. One there, and one here. Now you get a bunch of extra nails, so later on you could go back and stick another one in if you want, but those 2 should keep it nice and tight. You should be good to go. Now, we need to put our handle together. So this is going to be up here, and then these 2 side pieces, they come pre-drilled, so there's going to be 2 holes drilled for nails at the top. And then you see this hole is a little bigger because this is where our screw is going to go in, and we countersink that so the screw will be nice and flat when you put it in later. It's really important that the countersink points on the outside of your box. Okay, so this countersink needs to go here, and this countersink will need to go on the other side. If you look at the back of the hole, it doesn't have a countersink, so just look for that big hole, and it needs to point out. So here we go. We're going to switch. Actually, we're going to put some nails in, and then we'll switch to the screwdriver. So we need to put this handle together. It's going to go like that. Okay, so I'm going to lay it down. I've got my countersinks pointing out. I'm going to put my box over here out of the way. And I need 2 nails on the end, so I'm going to put them right in those nice little pre-drilled holes. And then I'm going to take a look I want to make sure that those nails are going to go right into here and they're not off like that or this. So nicely lined up. Get that grown up to help you hold this while you tap those nails in. Awesome, look at that. Now for the other side. Make sure that countersink is pointing up. Put your nails in the pre-drilled holes. Make sure it's nicely lined up so it'll go into that handle. Boom. Now, this takes a little muscle. You're going to put your screws in those pre-drilled holes. But they're not pointing out, they're not sticking out the other side just yet. I'm just going to start them a little bit. But they're not poking out. And then I'm going to stick it on here. I'm going to tip my box sideways, because it's a little bit hard for me to put it upright. So I'm going to have to go sideways. But you want to kind of line it up with the middle of your box, okay? And then you decide how far up you want to go, but you got to make sure that screw is going to land in this piece of wood, okay? So I'm going to put it about here, and it looks pretty centered, okay? I'm actually going to use the edge of my workbench here to stay lined up, and here we go. Remember, you want to go clockwise to get that screw to go in, and it generally gets harder the closer to done you are, so you might need that adult to come over here and help you tighten it all the way. You do the best you can first, okay? There we go. We got one. Now we're going to flip it over, and we're going to stick it in the same spot, so you're going to kind of make sure that it's going to be in the center. And here we go. Put that last screw in, and we're almost done. Okay. Now, boom, there we go. Now if this handle doesn't want to move, that means the screws are a little tight and you can just back them off a little bit. So let's check. Oh, that feels good. And also, as you use it, if it gets loose, you can tighten them a little bit so that it doesn't get too loose. Now, last step. Take that sandpaper. There's a lot of sharp edges here. It'd be a good idea to just sand them off so that you don't hurt yourself later on. Probably up here also on the handle. So you can sand more if you like. And there we go. Our silverware box all done. Have fun.